What's up, guys? Sasha with the Budget Brewers, and today we're talking about Korvold Gleeful Glutton. This is a $40 budget deck list I made, so it's super affordable and super easy to get into Magic with. In this video, I'm just going to be breaking down the deck list, breaking down some certain cards in it, and also general tips and strategies that I use when playing this deck. First, let's cover what Korvold is. He's an 8 mana Jund commander, which is black, red, and green, and he's a 4/4 Dragon Noble that costs 1 less to cast for each card type among permanents we've sacrificed this turn. He also has Flying Trample Haste, and whenever he deals combat damage to a player, we're going to put X11 counters on him and draw X cards, where X is the number of permanent types among cards in our graveyard. This is great because it lets us be super aggressive with our graveyard by filling up our yard with those different permanent types, and all of a sudden Korvold is going to get bigger and bigger while drawing us more cards. Because our strategy is so reliant around Korvold, we're going to want to focus on getting him out as soon as possible. Something like Gold Talent is one of the best cards in this deck because not only does it count as an artifact and a creature when we sacrifice it, but also it has its own ability to sacrifice itself for a mana, effectively ramping us 3 towards Korvold. Diamond Lion is a better version of this effect. Costing just 1 more mana, this card taps and sacrifices itself for 3 mana, effectively ramping us 5 towards Korvold. With this in our opening hand, we can consistently play out Korvold on turn 3. While some players may look at this card and think that it's worse because it also makes us discard hand, this can actually be a benefit in some scenarios. Because it makes us discard hand, we're able to put all of the other card types from our hand into our graveyard, fueling Korvold even more. With this, since Korvold has haste, we're able to immediately swing at our opponents and draw all those cards back, refilling our hand and keep on going with our strategy. In addition to these, we're also going to be running a bunch of other ramp, things like our ramp spells, our artifact rocks, and even some creatures. This is all to make sure that we get Korvold out as soon as possible and we're able to start swinging and killing our opponents ASAP. Once we have Korvold out, we're going to want to focus on getting cards that fill our yard with a bunch of different card types. Things like Cemetery Tampering are a great way of passively milling our library and getting more cards into our graveyard as the game goes on. Grim Flare is another one of these great cards we can get down early, and it keeps putting cards into our graveyard, letting us build that early advantage for Korvold to make that engine keeps going. My favorite, though, has to be Lively Dirge. This is a 3 mana tutor spell that can tutor any card into our graveyard, while also later in the game being used as a reanimate spell for some of our more important creatures to help our strategy keep on going. Since we're already putting a bunch of different card types in our graveyard, Delirium synergizes super well in this deck. Winter is one of my favorites because he has a great Delirium ability that is super scary for our opponents. We're going to make our opponents decide if they want to get rid of Winter and get their hand size back, or if they want to get rid of Korvold, who can be super big and scary by this time. Omnivorous Flytrap is another great synergy card because this card not only synergizes with the Delirium ability, but also synergizes with Korvold. Because if we can get that second part of having 6 or more card types in our graveyard, we can double Korvold's 1/1 counters, making him even bigger and scarier, killing our opponents even faster. This card serves a really similar purpose in our deck as another one of my favorite cards in all of Magic, Conclave Sledge Captain. It's a 6 mana 4/4 with 3 instances of backup 1, trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put that many 1/1 counters on it. What this means is that if we put all 3 instances of backup onto Korvold, we're giving him 3/1 counters and also making it so if he goes through unblocked, he's quadrupling his power permanently. One last thing I want to talk about with this deck is the general strategies and tips when playing it. We already know that we want to get Korvold out as fast as possible and fill up our graveyard as soon as possible so we can get that engine going. But one thing that we have to look out for is removal. Because our strategy is so reliant on Korvold, removal is going to absolutely stop us in our tracks. And we want to watch out for players who might have open mana and cards in hand that could possibly remove Korvold. Something that I find that works really well with this deck is identifying which opponents are most likely to target us with removal and simply making deals with them. Because our deck is so fast and scary with its lethal commander damage, a common deal that we're able to make is simply agreeing to not swing at an opponent. With this, we're able to wait out that removal, draw more cards, and potentially draw into a response when that removal spell does eventually come. If you're having trouble negotiating with your opponents, simply try being aggressive and don't be afraid to knock out a player if they're refusing to negotiate with you. This deck thrives in being able to be aggressive and knock out its opponents super quickly, and you're going to have to make some decisions on who you want to die first. Choosing the opponent who has the most removal is always a smart decision as it can end the game even quicker and lead to more victories for you. Thanks for watching, guys. We had a lot of fun brewing this $40 budget deck list. If you guys want to check out the deck list for yourself, go check out the link in the description. If you guys like the video, feel free to subscribe or like the video. Helps out a lot. And also, if you guys have any ideas for any more commanders that you guys want to see, feel free to leave a comment and let us know. We'll try to get to them.